Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. In fact, welcome to PCP Movie Night. That's the show where we gather every single week and we talk about the movie of the week. And this week, we're talking about 2008's controversial, hilarious classic, Tropic Thunder. This movie was part of Crew's Choice. That's right. We are in the midst of Crew's Choice, where the members of the Excitable PCP crew get to pick the movies we cover. The only caveat this year is that Tom Cruise has to be in the movie. Tom Cruise is in this movie, ergo, it's part of Crew's Choice. And the person who picked Tropic Thunder is Jelani. What is up, my man?
Station. Oh, dude. This movie is the movie that made me appreciate Tom Cruise as an actor. So I'm so glad to be here to talk about this one. It's so good. It's so good. I'm sorry. And if you don't like it for reasons and Robert Downey Jr., I'm starting off now. You can eat
it. Well, we can get into some of the controversy of the time and controversy today. We'll be talking about all of it, I'm sure. Also joining us, of course, is Brooks. What is up, my man?
What's up?
Just good to see your happy face here. You always bring an exhilarative energy to the show, and I really appreciate it.
It's high energy.
It ain't no thing, man.
Speaking of ain't no thing but a chicken wang, it is Verno from Blood Splatter Chatter. What is up?
What up? What up? Stoked to be here. I adore this movie. Jelani, I adore you for picking it. And Robbie, I adore you for letting me be here.
Oh, well, I adore you for being here, so thank you so much. We also got the one and the only Island Boy, Manuel. What is up, bro?
Dude, I'm so pumped. So pumped to be here, man. This is an unsung classic, I think. I believe. If I'm
unsung? You really think it's unsung?
I think so. Dude, I don't know, man. I make shit up as I go, man. The words that come out of my mouth, I cannot be liable for, because I don't read scripts. Scripts read me, brother.
Yeah, I don't read the scripts. What does that even mean? All right, and rounding out the panel tonight, we got the missing link himself. It's our buddy Steph. What is up, homie? It's good to see you. Always bringing that exhilarative energy as well, just like Brooks. I don't know what we're going to do between the two of y'all. I just messed with you. Let's talk about Tropic Thunder. 2008. So I remember when this movie came out, it was actually a really good year for cinema. Like Iron Man had come out, Dark Knight had come out, Tropic Thunder. I mean, we could look deeper into it. It was a pretty banging year. Maybe one of the last like super solid years all the way through of cinema, right? Like it was just a great year. And I remember working at Movie Stop and all that stuff. I never saw it in the theater, but I worked at Movie Stop. And so when we got our shipments of DVDs, I watched Tropic Thunder. And I watched the director's cut. It's the only cut I've ever seen. Because this movie's so funny, I just want it to last even longer, right? And I hear that the theatrical cut just, it's fine, but it's just more funny. There's just more funny stuff in the director's cut. So I don't really know the difference. But I remember watching it back then and being like, it's really funny. Robert Downey Jr. is cracking me up. I loved Ben Stiller doing his like best like Rambo when he's shooting the gun, like not knowing what he's doing, just how stupid he is as a character. But I remember kind of being annoyed by like Jack Black and not really vibing with the Nick Nolte character or whatever. I don't know what the hell I was smoking back then, but it wasn't good. Now what I'm smoking is good, because all the way through this movie, every single cast member, every single line, I am laughing my ass off. I hadn't seen this movie since 2008. And man, Jelani, thank you so much for picking this one, because, bruh, this might be, it is definitely to me the best comedy since the year 2000. 100%, right? And I think it's one of the greatest comedies of all time. It's also one of the greatest satires of Hollywood that there is. Like, this is a movie made by Hollywood that is like a scathing satire, criticism, and parody of the Hollywood system, the actors, the producers, the directors. Just the pretentious nature of Hollywood is so on display here, and it cracks me up. A lot of people say you couldn't make this movie today. Robert Downey Jr. was on Joe Rogan one time, and he asked him that. And Robert Downey Jr. is like, well, you could make it, but it wouldn't be quite the same thing. And it is something that we talk a lot of times about, like, so especially when we talk about like 80s comedies. We talk about how certain things don't age well. This one ages incredibly well, right? It's just the culture that has not aged well in comparison to the movie, if that makes sense. But I think this movie is damned funny. I know there was, at the time, the biggest criticism, it wasn't the Robert Downey Jr. playing Sergeant Lincoln, what's his name? I can't
Kirk Lazarus, right?
Well, Kirk Lazarus is the actor's name, but he's playing
a dude. Disguised as a dude.
Lincoln Osiris.
Lincoln Osiris. Okay, so it's not like that. That wasn't even the big controversy in the 2008, right? What was the big controversy was the Simple Jack stuff. Like it was a big deal. There were a bunch of like advocate groups like trying to boycott the film and get it shut down and all that kind of stuff. And also the character that Tom Cruise portrays, Les Grossman, was considered to be anti-Semitic, right? But if you don't know what this movie's actually making fun of, it's not making fun of Jewish businessmen. It's not making fun of people with mental disabilities. It's not making fun of black people. It's making fun of the actors who are so fucking uptight and pretentious and up their own asses that they think that they understand the human experience better than, say, even a black man would in that role or something like that. And the ridiculous nature of actors taking on these, like, it's a very common occurrence. That's why the half R bit is so funny, because it's true. So many actors go in, they do like a special needs character or something like that, and it's Oscar bait, right? And it's ridiculous. I love this movie. I cannot wait to have this conversation. You out there in the chat, we see you. Join the conversation. We want you to be a part of this. Jelani, you picked this movie. What's your history with it? What do you think?
Yeah, I saw this in the movie theater. I watched it twice in the movie theater. It's so funny. It just makes me like cry laughing. The first time I saw this movie, I was like, "Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious?" I did that the entire movie the first time, and I talk a movie, so if people were with me, you would have heard that. It was one of those films that like it blew my mind of A, how fun it was, B, how on the nose Hollywood is because of it. You were right. It tells so many different layers of the producer, the agent, and the actor, and how all of these things come together poorly to make the film industry that we actually have now. It is this is also very prophetic. It tells of how big budgets can ruin things. Like you spend $2 million or how it was 40 million or something like that on the explosions that they never filmed. And it's hilarious that they'd actually go through that. And everybody is up their own ass. Everybody's up there for a paycheck, but at the same time they want to get their clout. I think this was supposed to be everybody's Oscar bait movie, like you said. This is the movie that all these actors and the musician Al Pacino want to get their names out there.
By the way, I loved this bit. I found this out today. They actually asked Al Pacino if that was okay. And he was like, "Sure, go ahead."
Go ahead. Yeah.
Just give me a can of cookies.
Yeah,
maybe bust a nut.
Bust a nut. It's so funny because when the first time I saw this movie, I thought the trailers were like nailing it. I was like, "These are the trailers to the movie." We just had like 8 trailers, and then they did all of them after that. And then I was like, "This is the movie. This is the movie," and it is so on the nose of how well they did like a trailer, then they did the movie. They should have had some kind of after credit scene. They should have had an after credit scene.
Yeah,
I think it deserved one. Other than Les Grossman, who the reason I picked this movie is because of him. Les Grossman is my favorite character. I'm just bringing that out here now. I've got Tom Cruise. Y'all can pick everybody else. There's plenty to pick from. But Tom Cruise is my boy. And Tom Cruise is my boy because of this movie. I was like, first of all, who is this guy? I didn't know who it was the first time I saw it. So I was like, who the crap is this guy? Why the crap is he such an asshole? And why do I love his character so much? And it was Tom Cruise. And it took me a while to like piece that together, that was Tom Cruise. In fact,
same.
I think, to be honest, the first time I saw this movie, I was like, this guy's funny. Who the hell is he? And I didn't see it till the credits that showed that it was Tom Cruise. And I was like, oh my God. He nailed it. This is the best Tom Cruise thing I've ever seen. At that time, it's the best Tom Cruise thing I've ever watched. And because of that, this movie is the movie that we're watching today. because it's just so damn clean. And Tom Cruise is absolutely fantastic in it. Les Grossman, he's a horrible man. And because he's horrible, he's willing to let Tug Speedman die just so he can write it off as a tax write-off. It's the cleanest thing. Yeah.
It's like the way they let that Batgirl movie die in that fantastic movie.
You gotta write it off. You know, we can make a scholarship in his name. We'll do all that stuff. Oh yeah. I know.
Did you know that he created that character too? So like
sure
Tom Cruise was initially offered the role of the agent that Matthew McConaughey plays, right?
They could both do it. He could do both.
Yeah, and so then he goes, well, I don't want to do the agent, but what if we had like a movie exec in there? And apparently whatever studio was working with Tom Cruise at the time, was it Paramount? He's working with Paramount now, so it must not have been. I don't know. But whatever the studio head was kind of ended his deal with Tom Cruise right around that time. So a lot of people are saying that this is like him kind of like making fun of that guy, right? But yeah, that character is completely him. From like he wanted the fat suit, he wanted the big ass fucking hands. I always get like those giant.
I loved his hands because he was always like, yeah, and I was like, oh god, and he's got the same dance moves. Oh god, I loved it so much. I laughed so hard at the ending when he was dead. Oh my god, what was that song? Oh gosh, that was Ludacris.
Ludacris,
yeah. Motherfucker, y'all know me like.
I mean, I love that song. He's going off. I'm like, oh my god. I cried so hard laughing in the first time I saw this movie, and then I kept doing it. And I've seen this movie like 8 times before after this. It is so good. I love it. The history with it is rich. I wanted us to talk about it because god dang it, we haven't done it yet. And it was time to do that. Yeah, since we had a Cruise choice, and it's my favorite Ben Stiller film. I thought it'd be something about Mary, but I was wrong. I was very wrong.
Yeah, and we are in the midst pretty much of Jelani week. Jelani's birthday is what next? When is it?
Saturday
is Jelani's birthday. Everybody, so go ahead and get those early happy birthdays in the chat. So you know this movie's inception. So early in Ben Stiller's career, he was cast in the Steven Spielberg film Empire of the Sun, right? And that's what it's called, right? Now I'm tripping. It's Empire of the Sun, right?
Empire of the Sun? He was in Empire of the Sun?
Yeah, he was, right? And so, and he was there. The actors had gone to a boot camp and they came back and they were like, oh man, that boot camp was the most intense thing I've ever been. Like, I feel like I'm a real soldier. I feel like I've been through war. Ben Stiller was like, what a bunch of fucking pricks, right? And he just kept this idea in his head, and that's eventually what morphed into Tropic Thunder. So I thought that was a really cool tidbit. What about you, Brooks? What's your history with this film? What'd you think about it?
Well, I remember watching this film like not long after it came out. I didn't see it in theaters, but I remember watching it like not long after it came out, like on I guess DVD back then. But I remember liking it. I remember thinking it was really funny. But like, you know, with a comedy, especially when you haven't seen one, you're like, man, is it really gonna hold up? I think this movie did. Like, I was surprised by how much, like, you know, how funny this movie was. Like, you know, there was like most of the jokes land. Like, you know, it's the fact that, you know, it's skewering 2 things at once. It's skewering, like, you know, the whole war movie craze of the olden days, you know, and they're trying to make these like super serious movies about war and shit, but they're also kind of like these action movies as well, and like just Hollywood culture in general. How, like, you know, you have like all these different kinds of actors. You know, you have the comedic actor with Jack Black. You've got like the serious guy with Robert Downey Jr. You got the fading action star with Ben Stiller, you know, the kid, the rookie, and of course the rapper who's trying to transition into acting, which was a big thing back then. I guess it still kind of is, but it was really, I remember it really being a thing back in the day.
And also putting their product placement in there, right?
Yeah.
I need some of this booty juice I got up in the
But yeah, it's like it's very I don't know, like, you know, like movies, like artists have been trying to tell us for like decades how fucked up, you know, the whole Hollywood system is, and how like there's all these parasites, like, you know, Tom Cruise's character. And like, you know, this movie just comes out and, you know, says, I think in the most direct way. It's like the most direct, like, this is how like Hollywood is. Like, this is how the kind of people, you know, that is produced by this system. and like they use it to like such great comedic effect that it's impressive genuinely, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of genuinely impressive, Verna, what'd you think about this one, bro?
It's one of your better segues I've ever heard. I love it, man, and I hadn't seen it in some years, but as soon as like I saw it on the list, like it just sparks good memories. I remember seeing it when it came out, loved it back then. And to speak on what you were saying, G-Lady, for Tom Cruise, I feel like this is like a movie that it seemed like something they tactically did, him and his like agent, like we need to make you seem more relatable. Because he was so like, I don't know if I feel like this is the era he's jumping on couches and we're finding out about all his Scientology, and he had gotten to where he wasn't relatable at all. And that's what he does, is play the everyman. And this really made him like funny. It was like his funniest thing he's ever done. Yeah, it's just fucking hysterical. And Robert Downey Jr. at the same time. Like, I know we're gonna get into characters, but this is like you said it's one of the best comedies in 20 years, Robbie. I agree with that. It's probably my favorite and probably the best. It's one of the top 5 comedic performances in the history of comedy. It's like Jim Carrey level. Like, it's so fucking hysterical. And watching it this time, I forgot how much, like, Robbie, you said you realized last night, like, damn, Tom Cruise is in this more than you had realized. I thought it was just a cameo. He is in it quite a bit. The amount of Robert Downey Jr. we get in this is unbelievable to pull it off for that long, and it to sustain and not get old doing that voice is just like insane. But I don't know. This is like the last time that I gave a fuck about a comedy. You know what I mean? Like, this is the last time there was a big comedy that everyone talked about that I don't know if I went to the theater and saw it, but that was big enough a deal that, it deserved to go to the theater and see. It's super rewatchable, flies by. And Ben Stiller, this is I think it's his only second movie he's ever directed. And the other one is one of my favorites of all time, too. It's Cable Guy.
Cable Guy. I love that movie, man.
Yeah, it's like 2 of the best comedies of all time.
We just talked about that one. Yeah.
Silly, super silly. Like, I love silly, over-the-top, goofy comedies. And like Hollywood, everything is so serious right now. Like, they don't make silly movies. They make silly TV shows, and there's silly moments in like Deadpool movies and shit. But you don't get a group of stars together and spend $95 million to make a silly movie like this. And that's lacking in Hollywood. So I fucking love it. It's one of the best.
Yeah, I love the commitment to it too. Like, so Robert Downey Jr., one of the lines his character says in the film is, "I never break character until the DVD commentary." Well, I hope y'all have listened to the commentary for Tropic Thunder, because he does it in character. He does it as Osiris. Like, it's hilarious. And then at the end, when he like becomes Lazarus again, he then reverts to Lazarus. And then not till the credits roll does he actually be Robert Downey Jr. And Jack Black shows up late and he orders food, and like Robert Downey Jr.'s like, "What the fuck, man? You waiting on your goddamn food?" And shit like that. It's so fucking funny. It's hilarious. They also, in a parody of, so Apocalypse Now had that what was it, Heart of Darkness documentary about it, right? There is a parody film about the making of this called Reign of Darkness, and it's on YouTube. If y'all have not seen that, it's great. It takes it even further. Robert Downey Jr. finds Osiris's kids and widow and like lives with them, and then like goes fucking crazy on them and shit. It's hilarious. It is so much fucking fun. It's great. Manny, Tropic Thunder, what do you think? What's your history with it?
Dude, I remember when this movie came out, I was living in a tiny little apartment, me, my beautiful bride, and Cryo Prime, and he was so pumped to go see this movie. He was so pumped. And I remember went to the movie theater, all 3 of us, and he was grinning ear to ear, laughing obnoxiously loud, and I thought, this is all right. This is okay. Like it did not hit. It didn't hit me in 2008 how good the film was until you sit down and do a rewatch on it. It is something that, like, I don't know what my expectations were going in, because it wasn't. I don't remember it being super hyped up in 2008, other than by Cody. But for some reason, it wasn't memorable at all to me initially. The jokes that were in the trailer were, but the movie itself wasn't. It wasn't until the rewatch. And I don't know why that is, but that's my experience with the film. And since then, the character of Tom Cruise, like we've been talking about, I was like Jelani, I had no freaking clue that was Tom Cruise, and now that's like an iconic Tom Cruise role, an iconic Tom Cruise character. So I don't know. I liked it better as I went on with it. It's about the journey with this film.
Yeah. Yeah, 100, that's nice. I remember at the time too. Like I was still in the snobby Robbie phase, I think, right, Jelani, in 2008.
Yes,
But
you
I
are.
was like kind of on my way out of it, right? But I remember being like, the movie's a little too bloated, it's a little too long, and Jack Black's just a one fucking joke, it's just a one joke repeat or whatever. Like I remember that. I think it's the second best movie Jack Black's in, and I think his best. Well, I don't know, man. He doesn't really do a lot in High Fidelity, honestly. You know what I'm saying?
I remember thinking the same.
High Fidelity.
I remember
he
feeling
plays
the
R.L.
same-
Stein and he kills it in Goosebumps. All right, let's be honest.
I remember feeling the same way about Jack Black when the first time I saw this movie. He was on such a roll for me of movies up to that point. Like everything he was putting out was fire, and he's not likable in this movie. And like Jack Black works best when he's not likable, but underneath you see the kind, sweet guy that he is, and that's not in this movie. So I remember like that being like the one thing I didn't like about the movie originally.
Yeah, you guys know that bag of jelly beans I've been eating? Well, those aren't jelly beans. Everybody's like, yeah, no shit, brother. It's like very obvious, right? And kind of to echo what Manny was saying about not really appreciating it as much at first, but really appreciating it now. This was the first time I ever noticed that everybody until the very fucking end calls Sandusky something different every time. And they do it with such confidence. It's just that shit was cracking me up, man, so much. Like McClunky and all that shit. Like it was super fun. Steph, Tropic Thunder, what's your history? What you think about it?
Bear with me. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Probably a little choppy. I've always loved Tropic Thunder. I remember seeing the trailer shortly after Iron Man had come out, and just kind of thinking like, what, I'll see it, but I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't turned off, but I was like, Robert Downey Jr. is playing a black man. But when I saw it, I was blown away. I thought it was a universal thing where like Robert Downey Jr. got the pass from black culture. I don't even really, it's not, I don't look at it as blackface. It is, but it's because it's satire, it's done in a way that it's done tastefully. I know that's weird to say, but I've always loved this film. I think it blends like, it's for as funny as it is and on the nose, like the action is actually pretty stylish and, it holds up as an action film. So, with the blend of like the amalgamation of that and the satire and all that shit, I think it's a rare kind of comedy. I don't really think you've seen too many of those that or have done it as well as this one has. I love the mock trailers. I remember Grindhouse that came out the previous year and being blown away by those trailers. But I gotta say, I love those. I respect those, but I think these work a little bit better just because of the silly shit that was going on. Some of my favorite moments are some of those trailers, to be honest. Everybody, the entire cast, from fucking Matthew McConaughey to Bill Hader, Nick Nolte, I think, even Jack Black, while he was annoying, I think everybody had shown in their own way, like everybody stands out in their own way. And with a stacked cast like that, it's a hard feat to pull off. And I think they, Ben Stiller and company, I think they did it brilliantly. It's a great comedy. Like you guys said, I think it's definitely one of the best comedies in the last 25 years. If not, it's up there for all time for me. Top 10. But I love it.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. And, speaking on the Robert Downey Jr. blackface stuff, right? Most of it, we're all smart dudes, right? So we all realize that he's playing a dude pretending to be another dude, basically, right? Like he's playing an actor who is so pretentious that he thinks that he can just dye his skin, pull a soul man, and he's going to garner an Academy Award. The funny thing is Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for an Academy Award to hear. And if Heath Ledger hadn't died that year, I bet he would have fucking won.
What was he nominated for?
Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Robert Downey Jr., Best Supporting Actor. So, but they actually, what's funny is Ben Stiller was very aware of that. He was kind of taken surprised by all of the hate from the mental health advocacy groups and all that kind of stuff. But like he showed it to members of the NAACP. He like made sure that everybody thought like was in on the joke, that they understood what was going on. And at the time, that wasn't even really many people's thoughts. Today, it's crazy. So I decided I'd get online and I would type it in. and see. And today there are people that are like, this movie is disgusting and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you missed the point of the damn bit. You missed it. You know, it's great. It's got a great
He's not just
cast.
doing blackface. It's part of his character. It's
Right.
it's actually saying something about the character of Kirk Lazarus.
Yeah.
And like how he sees himself.
I think I might be nobody.
Plus, they put in that scene with him and Al Pacino having the back and forth. You know what I mean? They were clearly aware of.
Oh, it's a part
what
of
they
the
were
it's a
doing.
subplot
Yeah.
in the movie, right? You know, like, what do you mean, you people? That's the theme song from the
Yeah.
Jeffersons. I love his response too. Just because it's a theme song, don't make it not true. And then he could, when Al Pacino's like, "See you later, Kangaroo Jack," and he hops the fuck away.
Yeah.
Just fucking shit cracks me the fuck up, dude. Oh my god. But it's got a great cast. We've touched on a lot of it already. We already know what Jelani's going to go with. So why don't you kick us off, man? What's a performance you want to highlight?
Les Grossman. I will bless you with some quotes from Les Grossman, since we've already discovered that. My favorite is, which one of you fuck faces is Damien Cockburn? He's like, yeah, that's me. He's like, and who is the key grip? It's like, oh, you hit that direct in the face really fucking hard. I love that scene.
And he's like,
I don't know
sorry,
why.
man.
It's just like, I'm gonna kill you.
The way he acts like he did it, he's like, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, he says fuck face a lot. He's just so vulgar. He's like, it's so out of character for what he is, like Tom Cruise is. I don't know why it changed. Like, this is a departure from Magnolia, I would say, and Days of Thunder for that matter. It's just he's not the straight-laced dude who's a rebel sometimes and he does this. No, he's a straight dickhead. He knows he's in charge. He's basically like, he's like Harvey Weinstein without the Me Too. He's just this awful producer man who knows his place, knows what person or what people suit his motives. He's so manipulative. He's offering a jet to Matthew McConaughey just so he won't talk, and a lot of money.
A lot of money.
And I'm like, would I sell that for a jet? A lot of money? Maybe, but I'm still gonna get that TiVo to my guy. Got to get your TiVo, man. But
I love when he's looking at the picture of him and them as buddies. And he looks at the magazine, Jet Owners like Digest or whatever.
Yeah, that's G5, man. I think they have like higher levels of G now, and I don't know. I'm poor, but it's so funny. And like I said before, it's so on the nose. His character is like, it's every Hollywood executive rolled into one with a gigantic fat suit. And his makeup is great. The fact they disguised him so well just still blows me away. Like, I kind of could tell it was his voice. And then watching it again after multiple viewings, you can see his face because he's still got that smug smile. Tom Cruise always has that one line. I don't know how to explain it. Like, his face, when he smiles, is one line. Like, his mouth is just, he has no lips. So it's just a line. And he's like, and they're moved out. And you can tell that's him because it's this little skinny face, but he's got a big face.
Jelani explaining Tom Cruise's face is probably the highlight of my day.
Yes.
I love it.
I'm sorry. It's just so weird
right
stuff.
there.
Love it. Flip it. But it's one of those things where looking at his face and you're like, oh, that is Tom Cruise. And you can get his mannerisms. He's still there. It's still there. He's still Tom Cruise, but he's hilarious. And every word that comes out of his mouth is like gold. So and the dance at the end, the dance at the end of just him dancing, period. And it's just the one move. Do, 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 do. And he's just moving his arms. He's like punching down. It's like, I don't know what it is about the punching down. He just likes to, I guess, step on people. So that's his whole thing. And Bill Hader, I got into Barry last year. I love that show. I freaking love Barry. And he does an interview on, I think, the Tonight Show I saw on YouTube, and he was talking about how he was doing an impression of Tom Cruise and during Tropic Thunder, and Tom Cruise is like, "That's not me. That's not me." And then he starts doing it again, and he's like, "That is kind of me." I think you kind of nailed it. But Bill Hader is awesome anyway in this movie. On top of that, if you're gonna do another side character, I love both of them. He's like, and he's like, Bill Hader, a nutless monkey could do your job.
Yeah,
like seriously, a nutless monkey. It's. Oh, I'm sorry, I cannot gush on Tom Cruise enough. But that's what that's when I fell in love with Tom Cruise. This is the movie that did it.
Yeah, we can tell.
Solidified.
You're like describing his face in every intimate
I
detail.
love it, man. I love it. It is the fact that it made me impressed with an actor that much. I was just like, this is wild. I cannot believe that I like a guy I could not stand for many, many years. Like, he was very annoying, and I could not bear his movies. I have never watched Cocktail, or I never watched Risky Business. I did watch Legend. You know, there are few films that I watched of him, and I was like, it's all right. And I never liked Mission Impossible, the first one. I don't know what it is about the first one. Can't stand it.
I don't like the first three, man. Honestly,
Yeah.
I was right there in the same boat with you until very recently about Tom Cruise. And this Cruise choice is definitely been. I'm like, man, fuck Scientology. Tom Cruise is awesome. He's in a lot of
awesome.
cool movies, man.
Yeah.
Like Risky Business really blew my fucking world apart, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. And now this, and very excited to dive into some more of these movies as the weeks progress. Brooks, what about you? What's a performance you want to highlight in the film?
Well, I mean, this movie's like just full of like great characters, but the one like my top one was the kid, the drug lord.
Okay.
I was like, I want to know like this kid's origin story. Like, I want to see the movie where this kid like rises up to become a 12-year-old like drug lord in the middle of the jungle. Like, it's just fascinating. I love his face. He gives that tough guy face, and like, and he gets the fight scene where he just like starts flipping out and like beating the shit out of fucking. Oh man, it just cracked me the fuck up when that fight scene. And like I just like, you know, like I said, like I was like, I need more of this guy. Like, I need to know more about this fucking.
They need a Furiosa the shit out of this,
Yes.
right? You know,
Yes.
Tropic
Yeah.
Thunder saga. Let's do it, right? Speaking of kids, one of my favorite fucking bits in this whole movie is when Ben Stiller like goes back to like be with his kid at the end, and he comes back, the kid's like fucking stabbing him and shit.
I was wrong.
I was wrong. I fucking love it. What about you, Verna? What's a performance you want to highlight?
Oh god, there's so many. I went back and forth on what I wanted to pick. I gotta go with Ben Stiller though, just because he's so funny to me, man. He lets himself be the butt of the joke in everything that he writes, and he's just like so over the top with it. You mentioned to me, the most offensive part of the movie for some reason isn't when he's doing it, but when the reporter makes fun of him doing it and she says, make me. For some reason, I'm like, okay, that's too far. Like, Ben Stiller could get away with it, but not you. But the fact that he does like the two roles pretty much. He goes through, he's regular dude, his Scorcher role, and the fact that I look at him and I'm like, he is a very handsome man. Like, you know what I mean? He could have had a different career. Like, he is strikingly handsome.
That's why he's Zoolander.
He is ripped and everything, and it's like I don't know. He's had a cool, interesting career, and I don't think that he gets like the respect necessarily that he deserves. Like, as far as being like one of the top comedic guys of our generation. But if you look at the dude's career, he definitely is. He's up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Addressing some of the chat, Deo, Tropic Thunder sequel, I don't know, but there is a Les Grossman spinoff that's always been considered since this first started, and even as recently as talking through the Top Gun Maverick when he was doing the go-rounds for that, the press tour on that, he still mentions that he wants to do the Les Grossman movie, so that would be cool. And Delight, we are doing Collateral in just a few weeks. Very, very excited to talk about any Michael Mann film, especially that one. What about you, Manny? What's a performance you want to highlight?
Oh, I think the character that ties all the comedy together, the reason why we feel comfortable laughing at the things we laugh at in this film. I'm going with Jay Baruchel as Kevin Sandusky. I think that without Sandusky's facial expressions, reactions to some of the more absurd things, he's always with a what, huh? And while those are tiny, tiny little lines, if it wasn't for that injection of the audience through the eyes of Sandusky, I think you run the risk that some of the jokes might come across as, what's the word they like to use nowadays? Problematic. Problematic. I think that some of that shit would happen if you didn't have Sandusky to bring us in. It shines a light on the absurdity of the dialogue, and I think that adds to the wittiness. How to Train Your Dragon's like my favorite trilogy, so I got to give some love to Jay Baruchel for that role.
Hell yeah. One of my favorite bits with him in the movie is apparently like on set, he was super techie nerd and he kept talking about the HD DVD versus Blu-ray thing like the entire time. So like Ben put that in the movie and I love it when Rob Downey Jr. is like, damn, are you talking to me? Like he's like so fucking like offended when he realizes he's talking to him. But apparently he wouldn't shut the fuck up about it, man. And that's funny because that was a conversation we were all having. And he's right. He's right. Porn is the reason. Yeah. I mean, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. Yep. Yeah. That's what happens. What about you, Steph? What's a performance you want to highlight?
I will say real quick. I've never had a problem with Tom Cruise, but I became a Cruise believer with Collateral. That's when I kind of was like, okay, Tom Cruise, I see you. To me, that's when he kind of broke that straight lace cool guy he's always playing. You know, he's the villain. I've never really seen him play a villain up until that point. Favorite Les Grossman scene was when he was on the phone talking to the cartel or whatever, and he says something like, you know, I'm talking scorched earth. I will massacre you. I will fuck you up. And I love that perfect execution of Tom Cruise. But I want to give my flowers to Matthew McConaughey. I think he did a phenomenal job as the agent. You know, he really thought he was a fucking greaseball just out for the money, but he came through for his mans at the end with the TiVo. Even saved the helicopter with the TiVo. And he had like one of the best lines in the movie. You make me happy. Love you, buddy. But,
love you, buddy.
Hell yeah. I can't believe I wasn't prepared for this, so fuck, I get to actually say my favorite. That's Robert Downey Jr., yo. Robert Downey Jr. kills it in this movie, man. As problematic as it might be today to some people, you're just not getting the joke, right? Like, Robert Downey Jr. is so damn committed to this role, and it cracks me up. Like, the stuff he says is funny. The bits are funny. When he goes, for 400 years, that word has kept our people down. And when he does the whole, like, you never go full review, you know what I'm saying? When they all that stuff is funny, but man, what really makes that performance is you literally see this cognitive dissonance that happens in his head whenever he's confronted that he's not a black man. Like when the you people bit happens and Alpa's like, what do you mean you people? And his response is like, what? He's like slowly breaking as the movie. And then he has that great conversation with Al Pacino and Alpa's like, I think you're just confused. And he's like, I am confused. It's just like,
are we cool? Not really.
And Al Pacino's there to really also make us know that this is the joke, that this is meant to be, it's offensive in the movie. Everybody in the movie is looking at this dude being like, bro, what are you doing? Get the fuck off of this right now. Like, what are you doing? And just everything, like the fucking map shit when he's like trying to trick him and he's like, and you look really cut, man. Like, you got any tips? You got any tips? And he just that fucking map.
That's so underrated. That's one of the best parts of the movie. Any tips? And the look on his face. He's got a couple moments where he just like stares people down awkwardly.
We lost, dude. We super fucking lost, man.
Super fucking lost, man. Yeah, the Brooks, he had the pee moment. When Ben Stiller does that, goes up, and does it with the beer can. That's fucking hilarious.
It's cracking me up. But an honorable mention for me goes to Tobey Maguire, who came in last minute, last minute came in and worked for 2 hours to make sure that happened for his buddy Robert Downey Jr. because they were in Wonder Boys together, which is a great film we need to cover one day. But Tobey Maguire, that whole Satan's Alley fucking trailer is my favorite, dude. It's just so. And then they play the fucking Enigma song. And I fucked so many times to that album, so like I get it, I understand. Now let's talk about the style and structure. Style-wise, it's fucking amazing. Ben Stiller, a great director. His comedy is dark and it's also goofy. It's dumb and dark. Zoolander's dumb and dark, right? Cable Guy is dumb and dark. This movie is dumb and dark, right? And I fucking love it. The cinematographer of this movie is John Toll, who had done like Braveheart. He had done Thin Red Line. So he got somebody who had done war movies because he wanted it to actually look like a real war movie. And it does. It's beautiful. They filmed it in one of the islands out there in Hawaii, right? And it looks gorgeous. Like all of the foliage, all of the set dressing, the special effects are amazing. Also, Danny McBride is fucking funny as shit in this movie too. But all the explosions, all of that stuff, Robert Downey Jr.'s makeup done by the Rick Baker, y'all. I don't know if you knew that, but that's the Rick Baker. He was like, yeah, I can do it. He's like, if I can make a werewolf transform on screen, I can turn Robert Downey Jr. into a black man. But the makeup's great. The special effects are great. The delivery, the comedic delivery. And I've only ever watched the 2-hour version. And nowadays I will say that is like Verno said at the beginning, a breakneck pace, just never stops. It keeps going. A lot of improvisation that's done. And it comes across that way. Like on YouTube, there's like this 18-minute clip of Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr. doing that whole, I'm the dude who's playing a dude who's another dude, like that whole bit. And it's funny to watch because they're both cracking each other up. There's even moments where Robert Downey Jr., I swear you see it so many times where he just smiles. And I think he's about to fucking break character, man. He's just like, so like on the verge of it. But stylistically, it looks great and it's super tight and it never stops. And the jokes just keep coming and they don't get old. Honestly, like they're not really super dated jokes. The one thing that doesn't work for me necessarily is the Tom Cruise dancing. I'm like, let's move on. Like, I get it. Let's move the fuck on, right? That's the one thing that, even on the rewatch, and not saying it's not funny, but I'm just like, okay. I've heard that apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur song so many goddamn times in my life. They probably still played every weekend at fucking Sammy T's, man. I bet they do. Jelani, what about you? What do you think about the style and structure of Tropic Thunder?
Yeah, stylistically, it's set up like Platoon and Apocalypse Now, all those war movies that we watched before. It's beautiful. It's shot very well, and good times, man. It has so many layers to it. That makeup, I did not know Rick Baker did the makeup for that. For Robert Downey Jr.
Took him 2 hours every day. 2 hours every day to do it too.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like, he looks like a dude playing a dude. Skiles is another dude. It's so cool. I even like the makeup that they use when he's like talking about his rice patty and he's wearing.
But he's trying to be the Vietnamese guy.
Yeah, he's being the Vietnamese.
Here's my farm, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shot so well. And I don't understand why they didn't pick up the real guns. Like, take the real guns. If you're going to, like, take these people, get their guns. Anyway, but, and the structure it's well-paced. Even at 2 hours, this movie it goes by quickly. You can't really tell that it's 2 hours. And a 2-hour comedy at that. Like, this should be an hour and a half.
Which we're not necessarily fans of here on the channel.
No,
we kind of like think comedies need to be very tight, right? But this movie is tight, right?
Yeah, it's very tight film because you can't.
It's not the length; it's the pace.
Right. And I do want to mention Nick Nolte. Every time I see Nick Nolte in this, he reminds me of Bruce Banner's dad in Hulk, and it reminds me of Ang Lee and how much of a hack he is. Ang Lee is a hack. There, I'm done.
All right. I think the Ice Storm's fucking amazing. But Brooks, what about you? What do you think about the style and structure?
Heck.
I like the style of this movie. Like, and it is very much a Ben Stiller comedy, And Ben Stiller, he was pretty good back in the day. You know, he had some pretty funny movies. But like, I think this is probably his funniest one, to be honest. Like, because it's just like, you know, the jokes are just so good. Like, you know, one of my favorite bits is right, like, you know, this movie, it does have a little bit of darkness to it. Like when the director gets blown up, and then Ben Stiller's character picks up his head and puts it on the rifle, and like the dudes in the jungle are like looking at him, watching him, you know, and then sees him like with the head on his gun. He's like, they don't fear death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way the director's head's like moving when he's doing it with the gun.
It's warm, blood flavored corn syrup.
Yes.
And the whole Apocalypse Now scene where like Ben Stiller goes like
With
full
the
Chris
bananas,
on him.
Yeah.
Fucking Robert Downey Jr. finally has to take the wig off. Like, this movie just like so funny, dude. It's so
Maybe
funny.
you don't know
Like,
what dude you are.
I forgot about the panda
Fucking Manny
bit.
with the fucking
Yeah,
panda.
the panda.
When he calls McConaughey saying,
I
I
killed
killed
a
the thing I
panda."
love best in the world, a hooker. Clarice, get off the line. It's like so
Amanda? Fuck, man. That's probably not even a real name.
Come
oh
on,
my God.
dude.
This movie is
Shit
great,
cracked
man.
me up, man. He's great in that movie
Yeah.
too, man.
Mhm.
Everybody is
Everybody
so
is.
good.
He goes for it. He could have easily taken it off and just taken the paycheck, but he's acting like that's like his big, going to be his big thing in Hollywood. McConaughey.
Yeah, and that role was initially written for Ben Stiller. He eventually then decided he would play Tugman, right? But he wanted Keanu Reeves to play that at first. And this movie would not be the same if that was Keanu Reeves.
No.
It would not have worked,
Not
right?
at all.
Well, imagine if they didn't get Robert Downey Jr. Like, you know what I mean? Imagine if it
You know who
didn't-
they
it
offered
didn't-
it first to?
Who?
Sean Penn. He turned it down, said it was too
Fuck Sean
offensive.
Penn.
Wow.
Yeah, fuck Sean Penn.
So I think that's one of the
Yeah,
reasons why they
yeah.
put that Sean Penn bit in there when he's like, think about Sean Penn. I am Sam.
Right. They have him. He's in there as the nominees at the end of the movie.
Oh,
He's like-
yeah, he
He's
is.
one of them. Tom Hanks in a wheelchair and shit. Tobey Maguire with the prayer beads up his.
Yeah.
Cracks me up. Verno, what do you think about the style and structure?
I mean, you nailed it, Robbie. I was thinking earlier about exactly what you said, but you said it in 2 words to just sum it up: dumb and dark. Like that is Ben Stiller's style. I was thinking the same thing about how dark Cable Guy is and how this is very similar. Structure wise, one thing I hate in movies, especially comedies, all comedies do this, is when there's a fight in the middle and then they've got to split up and then you've got to have their moment where they separate and they find out how much they need each other. They start to do that in this with Ben Stiller where he goes off. But what they do with it is like one of my favorite parts of the movie. They do the whole Simple Jack thing and they take them there. It doesn't it's not corny like it normally would be. But and then the other thing, I've said this before, I love when a movie starts with the end. And the way they do it in this, I don't know if I want to give it too much credit, but it is like I do love the fact that they redo the scene at the beginning, but it's recontextualized when they do it at the end. So it's fairly smartly written all the way through. Everybody has something they go through. Even McConaughey has this fucking kid that he doesn't get along with, and Ben Stiller's got this
At
kid he
least you
wants
get
to
to choose
adopt
your
and
kid.
everything.
I love when he's like, at least you get to choose yours. Mine. It's just like it's
The most
lost kid.
un-McConaughey looking
don't
kid
put
you've
his
ever
name.
seen.
He didn't put his name in the credits.
But it's great.
All right.
Great style, great story.
Manny, what do you think about style and structure?
Yeah, I think it's got a really good balance. I think the action and the comedy bits play off really well. God, John Toll as the cinematographer it's a damn inspired choice. Because I mean, aside from the 2 films that you did, he also did Legends of the Fall. He did Last Samurai. I mean, the dude's done Breaking Bad, the first episode of Breaking Bad. He's done a lot of really important like cinematic pieces. So the idea that you would get somebody like that for something that is so inherently goofy and allow him and the actors to have fun the entire time, right? You could tell that the cinematography in this is he's thinking through how to enhance the comedy with everything from the lighting to the setups. When he needs it to be a war film, it's a war film. The color palette shifts, the color, the sky, the amount of foliage in the shot. Everything shifts when it needs to be a war film, and then when it doesn't, it brightens up, it changes. It's a very subtle harkening back to things like Wizard of Oz. Like, it's such a well thought out film from a cinematic standpoint. So I don't know. I think that structurally it really works as far as the dialogue and the comedy there. Like you said, 18 minutes of them cracking each other up. This is a film written by two actors, directed by an actor, really allowing everybody to be comfortable and to perform at this level. I don't know. It's really, really well done.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. What about you, Steph? What are you thinking?
I think you guys have all said it best. I think that it was structure-wise, like you said, for a comedy, action comedy, film like this should easily be an hour and a half long, but they make the 2.5 hours seem effortless. I guess that's an OD to the structure of it, but style-wise, I think it's gorgeous. I think Ben Stiller actually has a good eye for visuals. They're subtle, but I was just thinking of the film The Life of Walter Mitty, and that was a super visual film. Not as good as this one, but it's just weird how he blends certain things together in the comedy aspect. Not in a bad way, but he's got an interesting eye. But I just, this came out in 2018, like you gentlemen have said. This is aged quite well.
2000.
I could think of you guys ever seen Drill Bit Taylor? Owen Wilson?
No.
It's just an example of a comedy that's not really aged well. But there's something to be said for that. They just well done on all fronts.
Yeah. Owen Wilson was actually initially going to play the Agent 2. Like when Tom Cruise passed, once Ben Stiller wasn't going to play it, he offered it to Cruise. He instead created the character of Grossman, and Owen Wilson was going to do it. And I think like the week or two before they were going to start filming is when he got hospitalized after that suicide attempt back in the day, if you all remember that. So, yeah. So so Matthew McConaughey was a last minute replacement, and he wasn't the Matthew McConaughey of today. He was kind of in a down part of his career. And a lot of people credit this movie as kind of reinvigorating Matthew McConaughey's career, as well as Robert Downey Jr. It was the 1-2 punch of Iron Man and Tropic Thunder. They got Robert Downey Jr. back on top, yo. And, a lot of these young kids today won't remember the time when all we thought about when we thought about Robert Downey Jr. was cocaine and fucking getting arrested and shit like that. Him in that orange suit, that we saw all the damn time, man. It's a big deal, man.
Can I make a quick correction? Because you reminded me, Link. He did Ben Stiller directed that Secret Life of Walter Mitty too, and Zoolander. So he's done 4 films. So just correcting what I said earlier.
Yeah, I've never seen that Secret Life of Walter. What, Nitty?
Bad.
You haven't seen it?
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
2013. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna definitely have to check that one out now. All right, let's talk about the music. So the actual score of the film is done by Theodore Shapiro, who is mostly known for comedy. He's done other things, like he was the composer of The Devil Wears Prada. He was the composer of Marley and Me, but in Jennifer's Body, that's interesting, but a lot of like comedies, right? So he's known for like, let's see, Blades of Glory, Idiocracy, Fun with Dick and Jane, Starsky and Hutch, Along Came Polly, Old School, that's a good one, Wet Hot American Summer. So he's kind of known for that, but if you listen to the score on its own, it is very typical of its time, and even today, cinematic big Hollywood production music, right? But if you listen to like the opening theme, which I think is called like We Are Brothers or something like that, it's that scene when Osiris and Tugman's character are supposed to be like, crying over each other while they're dying, and he's got his fucking hands and shit like that. But Four Leaf, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
And but that music's actually quite beautiful. So somebody who's known for comedy, I think that's one of the things about being a comedic composer is you're not doing stuff like da 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 da. That's not what you're doing. You're usually a lot of mimicking and parody is involved in that. Like think about Blades of Glory and shit like that, right? Like where you have to come up with this kind of music, but that works. But the soundtrack is what really stands out here, and I love that they're using all the songs that have been in other popular war movies, or songs that would totally be picked to be in Vietnam era war movies, right? And so even that adds a layer of comedy to it, because the songs don't fit with the actual movie, but they fit within the movie that they're making, right? So it cracks me up. And that first fucking song always fucking that's such a jam, dude. I don't even know what that one is, but it's like, all because of the color of our skin, the education, all that shit is so fucking good. I love it. Jelani, what do you think about the music? And why don't y'all carry on through? I gotta take a piss break.
Thanks. Yeah, I love the music in this. The soundtrack is what pretty much nails it. And I'm sorry, I love that everything Les Grossman played. I'm sorry. It fits well because he decides like what songs he thinks are cool for him to play at random. It just feels awesome. Yeah, the soundtrack is great on all counts. The score, I mean, I liked it, but yeah, it is typical war kind of the same kind of tropes and high notes and things of that nature for Tropic Thunder. It takes a ride, I should say, but I don't notice it as much as I do the soundtrack, because the soundtrack it just blows out of the water. Yeah, I'll throw it over to Brooks. Brooks, what do you think about the music, man?
Well, I thought the score was pretty, it was pretty like, basic action movie of the era kind of soundtrack. It didn't stand out too much. Not, it was good, but didn't stand out too much, which was kind of the point of it. Is like, he's trying to make it sound like, this is supposed to be a legitimate movie,
it's supposed to be familiar
movie.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack is what breaks that up a little bit. It reminds you that it's a comedy as far as like the music goes. And it also kind of has that, that mixtape kind of feel that they would do back in the day in war movies, where they play like all these classic rock songs, usually be like Creedence Clearwater Revival, and the Rolling Stones and shit like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, a good well-rounded soundtrack and score, I think.
Hell yeah.
All right, Bruce. All right. Well, go ahead, Verno.
Well, I was gonna say, I love what Robbie said. Robbie really, I thought that was interesting, talking about if you're a comedy, a composer, you're spending a lot of time parodying things. You've got it made me think of Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele making Key and Peele trained him on how to get all sorts of different moods through cinema that he's now using in his film career. So it's it's really interesting to think about. If you're a comedic composer, you probably should be a little bit more respected than you are. You got to know quite a bit. But the thing that sticks out to me, first of all the old school war music or 60s, 70s psychedelic rock stuff, that's my jammy jam. That's the shit that I grew up on and just fucking love. So I eat that up. But the way they blended that with the other era that I think is timeless, because that 60s and 70s stuff, timeless. It's never going anywhere. It's going to be in movies forever. But there was that post gangster rap era where hip hop became for the clubs. That shit is never going anywhere either. That fucking all that ludicrous stuff. They're going to be dropping them fucking apple bottom jeans for hundreds of years, man. That's not going anywhere. It feels good, and it's still happening. So it the fusion of those two and to make it not fucking weird is awesome. It gives the movie all the energy that it needs with the cool psychedelic rock also. So yeah, it's great, man. It's a fire soundtrack. That's cool.
Absolutely, Verno. I totally agree, dude.
Chill out, man. We've totally given love to the Satan's Alley movie that we would totally love to see Robert Downey Jr. and Tobey Maguire actually fucking make. That would be great. What about you, Manny? What do you think about the film's music?
It works. I just had a hard time. Like, I don't know. I've been really trying, Robbie. I've been really trying to like dig in, and I'm trying to learn like music theory and shit. I'm counting beats. Yeah. I'm like, I can't let Robbie down. And then I watched this. I was like, it sounds like a war movie. I mean, it works.
I mean, you're not wrong, dude, Manny. Like, honestly, like, the music, the score doesn't stand out. It's the songs that really stand out in it, right?
Yeah.
But a little tip, little secret, if you really want to immerse yourself and be able to talk about the experience of the music in the film, Listen to the score a little bit first, and then watch the movie, and it will stick out more to you. That's a secret.
Right.
Secret right there. I'm giving you in some secrets right there.
Listen to score that you have to review. That's a good tip. That's a good tip. But yeah, and
It helps.
yeah, no,
That's for everybody.
definitely.
If everybody wants to take notes, like Jelani, like Brooks, like you guys. I remember actually Jelani and Brooks, you've come a long way from like just being like, there was music in this film. I don't fucking know. Like,
I mean, it's true.
y'all remember when I lost my
not
shit?
every soundtrack, is like memorable or stands
true.
out,
Right.
No, that's true. This is one of them. But I'm telling you, if you actually listen to that, like We Are Brothers or whatever, that's actually kind of beautiful. Like if that was in We Are Soldiers, we wouldn't fucking skip a beat. Like we would think that it totally belongs in a movie like that or something, right? Or not Apocalypse Now, Austin. That movie's got fucking great music. Like great music. But that's what Apocalypse Now, we should do that sometime. Anyway, Steph, what do you think about the music in the film?
I think you gentlemen have all said it better than I could articulate, so I'm going to leave it at that. But I will say, any movie that's the name of the game in it, I got to give some props to. I respected
Crystal
that.
Method,
I
baby.
enjoyed it. That's the
Crystal
name.
Method. And in fact, they actually did a specific remix for Tropic Thunder. So it's a particular remix that they did for the movie, which I thought was super cool. I'm a big Crystal Method guy, 100%. Brooks and Jelani will know that because of how many times I've made them listen to that while we were getting stoned.
A lot.
So I was like, we're listening to Vegas again, guys. Sorry. We're like, well, it's better than the Blade soundtrack again.
Like I do.
All right, now it's time to dive into the themes of the movie, what we thought the movie was speaking on to us individually. Jelani, Tropic Thunder, what's it saying to you?
The excesses of Hollywood will still play out. They play out the best way possible because in the end, I mean, hey, he got an Oscar for playing in this over bloated budget movie that never really happened, written by a guy who lied about everything in it. So Hollywood, the machine still works. It hasn't changed much of anything. I mean, the chickens are coming home to roost now in Hollywood, but at the same time, I think that Hollywood will recover. It's one of those things where it's always going to be something in Hollywood that changes, and that thing that changes isn't, I guess, the movie going public. It has to change with those people, with those executives. They have to make the rules work for them to make money again, because they're not making money now. They're not even trying. But this movie is so on the nose for how Hollywood works, and it's the machine, the corporate machine of how it works, and that's what I think it is about. That's
100%. The big talk right now, of course, is the lackluster May that we've had. I haven't seen all the movies. I haven't seen Fall Guy. I haven't seen If. I'm not going to watch If. I haven't seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but I did see Furiosa. That movie fucking slaps. So, like, if y'all want more, like, truly cinematic, badass action movies with actual characters and wonderful structure and insane fucking action sequences, go see Furiosa so we get another one, because that shit was awesome.
It's because they put a whammon in it. That's why they're all mad about it. I'm like,
I actually heard that.
too.
I made the mistake on getting on X today, and somebody had commented on I clipped out my movie review from last night and put it up today. Somebody had commented, it's Mad Max movie without Mad Max. And I'm like, the movie's called Furiosa. They just put a Mad Max saga for dumb motherfuckers that they wouldn't realize that this was a Mad Max world set movie. But man, I tell you what, I fucking love Furiosa. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
but
it's awesome.
Just like Hollywood needs to start doing some better things. And my biggest thing is this, and everybody likes to talk about the MCU and all that shit. That ain't the issue. The issue is cookie cutter. Like, we'll just make the same movie and fucking just put a new coat of paint on it and pop it out. We get tired of that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? And, but on the other hand, when they do something good, it's up to us to go and fucking see it. You know what I'm saying? Or, what I mean? So I think the responsibility goes both ways. I think the fans and the moviegoers need to lax up, and I think the Hollywood producers need to lax up, and I think we all need to find a common ground, which is called good fucking movies most every week at the movie theater. Like, you remember when that used to happen? It used to happen. It used to happen. It happened in 2008. 2008 might have been the last year that fucking shit happened. I don't fucking know, but we'll see. We'll see. What about you, Brooks? What's this movie speaking on to you?
Well, I think, like, like this movie, like, you hear a lot about comedies, like they say about Blazing Saddles, like, you couldn't make this movie today. And, this usually kind of do, like, people's tastes and everything. I think the thing this movie kind of points out is that, no, it's actually like, just this one vulgar, bloated douchebag who gets to decide what movies are made. Guys like Les Grossman are the people who decide if a movie gets to be made. And, like, they make movies that if they believe, they can make money off of them. Like, if these Hollywood guys thought that, like a vulgar comedy with, like, all kinds of, like, off-brand jokes would make them a lot of money, they'd make it. But, they don't think it right now. Like, that doesn't test well or whatever. So that's why, these kind of more crude comedies don't get made, is because, the chart guys are like, oh, that's not where the money's at. And, like, it's just the expense of making movies, and, like, the whole process is like, has made it so that, these guys don't want to take the risk on making a good movie, by risking, making a bad movie. So you get, like, all of these, like, super bland movies that are, like, not terrible, but, like, are just bland, and, like, nobody wants to see them either. And, like, it's like, I think, like, it's like, you got to let artists be artists. They are crazy. Like, all these actors, they're fucking nuts. The director, he's kind of nuts too. It's like, but you got to let them cook, man. Like, if we just keep letting these, like, these suited up parasites keep deciding what does and doesn't get made, we're just going to keep getting shitty, bland movies, And Tropic Thunder is definitely not a shitty movie, nor is it bland.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad this one made it through the pipe.
Yeah, no shit, right? The last days of Hollywood, one would say. I don't know, man. They still make some good movies. They still make some movies, but they don't, not like that's harder. The thing, man. People like to argue with me about this, man. But man, not like it used to be, dude. Like me and Rex were doing a show. Me, Rex, and Amy were doing a show, like, talking about our favorite movies in 1999. And even Rex was like, "Damn, man, they really suck at making movies today. Like, there's so many good movies from that one year." And I'm like, that's how most years are. Until you get to, like, today, and then you're like, well, this is an obvious top 5 of 2022 or something like that. But we all have our varying degrees of taste and whatnot, But I'm just saying, man, you kids y'all don't know. Y'all don't know what it was like. Verno, what's this movie speaking to you?
I love how Robbie went straight from snobby Robbie to old man Robbie. There was, like, no fucking, it just jumped right there. Dude, just to speak on what you guys are saying, like, I always think of Matt Damon. Matt Damon is just a little fucking interview bit that I always see where he mentioned that just there's not the secondary market that there was. Before, you could take a chance at a movie. If it didn't work in the theater, you could put it in the video stores and you probably make your money back if it was a decent movie. And the fact that now, like there might be movies that are this high of quality and this funny, but they're going to be on Netflix and they're going to be directed at a more specific audience. And that's what everything is now. They're not making, it feels like comedy's dead. It's just moved on. And that's kind of the sad thing, but it's just like what you were saying, Robbie. It's our participation. We don't go to the theaters and support it, but it's like the system is kind of fucked right now as far as,
well, it's kind of hard. It's also kind of hard when they're like, "Hey, don't worry, this will be streaming in 5 weeks."
Right. Yeah, there is that. Yeah, there's that too. Jelani, you're muted, brother.
Yeah, and if you got a family, right? Like, I got the movie pass, I just go into the theater whenever I want, right? But most people, like, if they want to go with their partner and their children, like, that's like $150, man. That's kind of fucking steep, bro.
Right. But the other thing I was just gonna point out is, like, obviously the theme is they're talking shit about Hollywood. And there's like a dishonesty. That's like the root of it. Is like there's this dishonesty. Somebody pointed out earlier that the fact that they're willing to let Ben Stiller die because they'll make their money back on the insurance claim. I love that. And someone also pointed this out. The fact that Nick Nolte's been lying the whole time. He's got the two hands. Like, that drives the theme home more than almost anything. Even this guy that we're definitely supposed to look up to, the hero, even he is full of shit. And then at the end, they just top it off with Ben Stiller going back. This is my family. No, even that, you're fucking wrong, bro. That's not your family. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. So I don't know. It's so good.
Yeah, I actually like that. That's definitely part of it, man. What about you, Manny? What do you think?
About the current state of films or what this movie's saying?
Whatever you want to speak on, I guess, brother. That's where we at this point.
Yeah. Well, everyone's giving all this love to 2008. Let's not forget 2012 gave us the comedic cinematic masterpiece Pitch Perfect. All right, that was awesome. So let's not forget that year was a banger as well. This particular film, it's about identity, right? It plumbs those murky depths of the human psyche. It shines that blinding spotlight on the lengths to which actors will sacrifice their own essence on the altar of their craft. Perfectly exemplified with Robert Downey Jr.'s character. I think that when you look at Kirk Lazarus, who is a thespian of Australian origin, I think that the amount of searing intensity that Robert Downey Jr. brings is just a testament to this idea that artists are killing themselves for corporate America. The film lays that quandary of identity. Can somebody actually become somebody else? Not just in visage, not just in Ray Baker, but in spirit as well. There's this procedure that he goes through, that pigmentation alteration. It's a damn Promethean experience, and it's this passing over, this Rubicon from mere performer to the realm of the I don't know, the very epidermis is his tabula rasa upon which he inscribes
the X-Men.
which he inscribes the experience of another person. I mean, yet this act of ego, self flagellate, whatever, Lazarus not also perpetuates the original sin of cultural appropriation, but he's dancing on that damn razor's edge of its depiction with its transgression, and the film doesn't hold back at all on that. This is a cardinal sin in terms of what Lazarus is doing, but it skewers it with this zeal of method acting, and there's this simultaneous acknowledging of the problematic history of, minstrelsy, I guess it would be the word, right? Tropic Thunder is this celluloid Rorschach test. It's a celluloid Rorschach test where the viewer's reactions speak volumes, I should say, about their own unexamined assumptions regarding performance and regarding identity. And I never know when to end these things, but
You can end it now, man.
There we go.
Well said, man.
Yes.
Well said. No, like identity was going to be one of my themes, but you went in a whole different direction than I was thinking, man. Like, no shit, dude. I know you're thinking you're pulling that shit out of your ass, but you are a philosopher, my man. The rest of us, but you are a philosopher amongst philosophers.
Thank you. Thank you. And I didn't even get into the myriad of excess and the crash commercialism of product placement and cynical exploitation of disability for cheap sentiment, right? The I am sad. Anyway, there's a whole lot of shit in this film for a comedy, and it works. It works.
Oh yeah,
Man's always dancing everything up with his big words. Promethean. What the shit?
The more syllables I have, the more time I have to think of the next thing I'm gonna say.
The epidermis is a tabulous race.
Tabula rosa. Like that was, dude. I tried to work that same phrase into not the exact same phrase, but I'm writing a script on Animal Man and absurdist philosophy of Camus, and like I tried to work that phrase into there, and I could not make it work. So I'm glad I was able to use it tonight.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I have this vision in my head now since fucking Verno said something earlier though that Al Pacino, the real Al Pacino, gets like a case of busted nut and booty juice every year still for the rest of his life just for the use of his name. For some reason that popped in my head just now. I think that'd be funny. Speaking of busted nut, Steph, what do you think, man? What do you think the theme is?
Okay, all right, I'm good. I'm live. I will say, Brooks, you said earlier sometimes you gotta let artists be artists, right? That's true. And when they get out of hand, what do? You just spank them on the ass. That's what you do with actors. But I think that the film was one of the themes is the pretentiousness of Hollywood. Like oftentimes actors have like this self-important air to them, and it's like, millions of asinine amounts of money are thrown at these pictures that are often forgettable. Like no one remembers these shits from like a year from now. Then the millions of dollars thrown at these pieces of shit that no one remembers could be better in the world in some sort of way. But I think it was just really kind of, that was one of the many themes, is speaking on the self-importance and the pretentiousness of the Hollywood lifestyle, or the business of it as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, y'all all have hit it so hard on the head. It's so difficult for me to try to pull something out here, right? But I mean, y'all are all right. It's about these terrible fucking executives that make these decisions and choose what movies to make, and we get fucking brought all this fucking shit. It's about the fucking it's about identity and the pigmentation of one's skin being a clean slate or something. It's about that. It's about like the pretentious, self-righteous nature of Hollywood, right? It's about all the stuff that you guys mentioned. And I'll echo all of that and just say, yes, to me, the number one theme of this movie is how fucking ridiculous are these people who think that they're going to be making art to show regular people how to experience life as regular people, right? Like Robert Downey Jr. talks about it a lot, especially when he's having those conversations with Ben Stiller's character about like their process. Like, even though it's funny, he's actually saying some stuff like, we go in there and we dive through the pain and we come out and we're able to echo that out, blah, blah, blah. And like, bruh, you are a super pampered fucking have no cares or worries in the fucking world, all that shit. But it also shows you the trappings of fame, right? With the Jack Black character, right? Like, Jack Black's probably doing this movie because he doesn't want to just keep making fart movies, right? His character's based on Chris Farley, but also a lot on Eddie Murphy's movies, right? And how many more of those Eddie Murphy movies we got to sit through, man? Like, get the fuck over it. Like, Nutty Professor worked. So then they did it again. Then they did Norbit, and they just keep fucking doing it. You know what I'm saying? And it never stops. Hollywood's kind of a one-trick pony with like a handful of tricks, right? And each person, like, they get pigeonholed. So it is about identity, and it's about the roles, not just the roles that we play, but the roles that we think we are supposed to play, right? Jack Black's trying to break out of not just the farting fat guy role. He's also, honestly, by the end of this film, trying to break off of his drug addiction, which is caused because of the excess of Hollywood. You got Lazarus, who's like fucking breaking, right? And by the end, like, I'm afraid of myself. That's why I go so deep into these characters, right? He's lost his identity in this system. Then you got Ben Stiller, who is Sylvester Stallone, right? And then also, here's another little tidbit. That little bit where Jack Black's like, I'll stroke the shaft, I'll fucking swallow the juice, all that shit. There's a story about Sylvester Stallone on some set taking somebody into the dressing room to have sex, and he's still mic'd up. And apparently that's what they heard. So they put that in the movie. Like, just grab stroke the shaft, and all that shit. So that's like almost word for word from that. But it's, Ben Stiller is trying really hard, right? To like break out of this action star role, right? With the simple Jack stuff. Then he's doing Tropic Thunder, and he's trapped within the system of Hollywood as well. So I guess what I would say is, amongst everything else, which it's obviously about, what I dig out of it a little bit is that it's about, don't let a system or a Don't let a system or other people make you feel like this is who you're supposed to be, right? Don't be stereotyped. Don't be pigeonholed. Be you and be authentically you. Whatever that identity is, however you want to be you, and don't let others dictate who you are. You know, if that makes any kind of sense. So that's what I'll say to add to that. But now it's time to rate the movie. So out of 5 possible you digs, you out there in the chat, what do you give Tropic Thunder? Delaney, it's your movie. You kick us off.
Yeah, I love this film. I've watched it several times. You should know what I'm going to give it. I'm just going to, I'm going to be nice. And, no, I'm not. It's a 5. Yeah, of course it's a 5. It's got a fantastic cast. Didn't see it coming. It was like, this is also a Matrix movie. I'll tell you why. Because when I saw Matrix for the first time, I didn't know what it was. I know how it was going to go, and I didn't know it was going to profoundly change me in certain ways. When I first saw it, confused. When I first Tropic Thunder was funny, but I didn't understand it until I watched it more. And I watched it more, and you see the layers of it. You see the excesses of Hollywood in it. I didn't see that the first couple of times I watched it. I didn't see that until much later. And the fact that it works so well for today's environment, like we could make this movie again, but there'd be so many people up its ass that it would be ridiculous. I think Robert Downey Jr.'s character is he technically is the best character in this film because he is one of those characters that a lot of people like. They take it. Some people would take it the wrong way, and a lot of people still do, which is odd. I really can't understand why you don't see that this is a parody. This is actually funny. This isn't Soul Man. Soul Man was trash, and putting a white guy in blackface is the dumbest thing you could ever do. And Simple Jack, of course, that's the thing that hurt a lot of people too. But I still think that it's still a funny part of this movie. All the pieces of this work. Everything about it works. Everything that we've talked about, everything that we've pulled from a comedy, which by the way, it's a comedy. It's a dark comedy, but it gets there. It tells a damn good story. And if you haven't watched it out there, I think you should watch it. It's just one of those things where it needs to be discussed in a proper way. A lot of people take the aspects, the parts of it, and tear those apart, and they don't look at the whole. They don't see what this movie is and what it could be, and how it explains a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a perfect film to me. So it's 5.
Yeah. 5 you digs from Delaney. What about you, Brooks?
Well, after I watched, I was thinking I was probably gonna give it a 4.5, but then I held it up to some of my favorite comedies, and I think it deserves a top spot. I give it a 5 too. This movie is hilarious, it is entertaining, it's so many things, and it pulls it all off, and I was genuinely surprised how good I found this movie after all these years, and how it can still have that kind of staying power is truly impressive, I think.
Yeah. All right. 2 perfect scores so far. What about you, Verno? What you sitting on?
3 perfect scores. I gotta go 5 all day long, man. Honestly, Robbie, before I met you, this was the first time I did a podcast with you. I remember we started talking about movies, and you're like, "What kind of movies are you into?" And I was like, and I think I named you "Don't Be a Menace" if you're sipping your juice in South Central or whatever. Some fucking, you know what I mean? That's what I was half baked. The comedy was what I grew up on. I watched all the shit. I was into everything. But if you ask me, what are you into? I was into fucking comedy. And this is the last, fucking badass comedy. It's one of the best comedies of all time. We've been saying 20 years, but Link, I think you said it. This is one of the best comedy films of all fucking time. Hard to fucking argue it, really. It's up there. It's in the top 10, top 20. It's so funny.
It's Blazing Saddles funny.
I watch the movie almost every day, and we do these reviews once a week on all these shows. And this is easily the hardest I've laughed at a movie for probably anything that I've ever reviewed. So it's This is a 5 all day. It's one of my favorite movies. I adore it. And the other thing I'm just going to leave, I don't even want to talk about, but this is what I've been thinking about. I think about when I think about this movie. I don't like when people say, you can't make movies like that or whatever. Here's what I struggle with. Why do we find it necessary to have these like jokes that deal with this kind of sensitive material? It's like, I don't need that for a movie to be funny, but for part of me, it feels like you'd almost do. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't think we need to be making fun of special needs people and dealing with race and that. But why do I also feel like that's the funniest shit at times? I don't know. It's the same reason why I don't feel comfortable talking about it further. It's because let them make it funny and then we can laugh at it, and it makes these uncomfortable things more comfortable. But I don't know. Like, I've spent a fair amount of time this past week thinking about that and why I like that so much in comedies and why we all do, and why I've heard so many people say, I wish they made movies like that. It's like, why do we want that?
Like George Carlin said, it's about the context, you know? Like, you can say, like, if you say a bad word, it's not bad because you say it. It's bad because of what you mean when you say it.
When you say it.
Yeah, and also the bit of, like, punching up versus punching down. Right, this movie punches up. It's not making fun of black people. It's not making fun of special needs people or mentally ill people or whatever. I don't.
There's some moments in this where I am kind of laughing at that. You know what I mean? And we all.
Well, but yeah, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, it's about context and all that kind of stuff. And now I don't want to continue.
I'm just fucking being honest. That's what I'm saying.
One thing I'll tell you this. One thing I did like. I don't, as much as I love Perry, I watch Perry's videos, but I don't like watching movie reactions. It's like the big thing on YouTube. So many people do it, but I did watch a few for this one, and people would go from shocked at like certain words and certain bits and then just go into laughing. Like they couldn't help themselves, right? Like when he does the full R thing, like it just cracks you the fuck up because
good scene.
One of the things that's so funny is like the way they're so excessively using that word, which used to be used more back in the day, but not even like this level. Like they're making a point by it, and it comes across as sometimes things that are so wrong are so good, brother. And it's chasing dopamine, it's chasing taboo, that kind of thing. It's the reason why I love the gnarliest, fucking craziest fucking horror movies. You know what I'm saying? It's the reason why I'm like, I love Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, because I'm like, you shouldn't be able to make this kind of a fucking movie, but you did, and I'm here for it. Make more of them. But if they made only these kind of movies, then we'd be like, damn, Hollywood's so fucking trashy and sleazy. Why can't they just make a good whole-natured story like E.T. again or something? So there needs to be a balance, right? Just like there needs to be a balance within your personality, there needs to be a balance within film. What about you, Manny? We have 3 perfect scores so far. What do you think?
You know what? In honor of Jelani's birthday, let's just keep making them perfect scores. I'll go 5-2. I think it's got a lot to say. Yeah, I don't. The film hits harder in 2024 than it did in 2008. You look at studios like WB canceling Batgirl to get the tax write-off. Insurance write-off, I should say, rather than releasing the film. And that's exactly what the villain in this says he wants to do. You know what I mean? It's prophetic. It's scary. It's not the wax philosophical here, but like, I don't know, like listening to you talk about themes and stuff, and you think about like 2024, you think about how how we appear online, our Instagram presence, our X presence, all these things, that appearance, that's reality in 2024. Our actual identity is interchangeable, replaceable. Nobody cares. This is what you see on the screen. Robert Downey Jr. in blackface as that character is the reality of his character, right? And that's what he gets lost in. The film and the glossiness of Hollywood, all of that. What does it mean to be authentic? And if we look at those moments when we could sit by ourselves and we could get introspective, we get to confront our complicity, whatever the word is I'm trying to say. We get to confront that because of films.
Sounds good to me, brother.
Because of films. Well, yeah, I mean, it's because of films like Portrait of a Serial Killer. It's because of films like this that we get to look at this fucking grand charade of entertainment and what we can laugh at, what we can't laugh at, and how much of our id and our ego we're gonna either integrate or not integrate. So I think films like this are important, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Manny goddamn can't even help it while he's rating the movie, man.
I'm not trying to.
You
I'm
are
just
Robert
like
Downey Jr. in this movie. You are the dude who doesn't know what dude he is.
I'm just on a, I don't know.
Man, I've been in about his themes, man. He can't help
I've just been in a weird headspace, and hearing you talk about it's like shit. The more you think on it,
dude.
the more you think on the importance of
the way you
parody
just
and
tied it
satire.
into like social media today, and like the way we have these like fake fronts basically and all that. Like, dude, you're right. Like, it's this. We are Kirk Lazarus, like layers deep. We're like Inception levels deep in our personalities right now. None of us know who the fuck we are. Well, we do because we're above 30.
Yeah.
These fucking kids today. I don't like the way these kids
They don't
talk.
know shit.
Bet.
These kids are mid as hell.
I know what mid is, man. That would be like, damn, you got mid now. You ain't just buying swag. That's awesome, dude. That's good shit.
Mid used to be. It's okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's decent. It's not swag. Swag, mid, and loud is what we called it back in the day. I guess that was obnoxious to do. Hippies from the 70s being like, what does loud fucking mean? We were like, fuck you, dude. Our weed's like 5 times better than yours. Anyway, Steph, what about you? We got perfect scores across the board so far. What you think?
My mic. Okay, I was gonna say if it ever comes off mute, I'll say give it 5. You make me happies. Banger. It's a classic. Fucking love it. You guys have said it best. It's a perfect film for me.
We base movies on what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish. This movie 100% does exactly what it's trying to accomplish. Every actor, every shot, every improv line, every written line, every plot point, every music cue, every song picked, every single bit of this movie works in service to what they're trying to do, which above all is make you laugh. And like Verno said, it's been a long time since we've done a movie here on this channel where I just laughed and laughed and laughed. And I'm going back watching shorts and videos of just clips from it, man, and still just cracking up. And it's not just 1 or 2 people. It's everybody in the movie that's cracking you up. Even fucking Sandusky, right? Like even the little things, like nobody ever says his fucking name right. And if you just pay attention to the different names they call him, they crack me the fuck up because they're almost there, but then they're not, right? The panda bit, even the fucking bit, I died. I almost fell out of my fucking couch when that mantis fucking flew up at Ben Stiller. And according to the commentary, that like literally happened. So like, it just cracks me the fuck up. And it's like this, that's another element of it, right? He's like doing this, like, it's like the inauthentic nature. That's what you were talking about, right, Verno? Like it's about honesty. It's about truth, right? Because Hollywood's dishonest, right? And like these dudes, like, my cause is to protect the pandas, right? But when it comes down to it, he's going to kill that fucking crazy ass panda, brother. And they also say that's kind of a bit on Jack Black because Kung Fu Panda had come out before that. So I thought that was funny. All right, so 5s across the board. Now it's up to me, and I'm going to agree. 5. Like I said, it sets out to do exactly what it's trying to do. It is perfection. This movie is great. It's one of the best comedies ever. People all the time ask me, hey, what's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? My favorite sci-fi film. Oh, Blade Runner. That's easy. 2001. That's easy, right? What's your favorite dramedy? American Beauty. That's kind of easy. What's your favorite drama, like old school classic picture? Citizen Kane. What's your favorite, movie? Like Days Confused is one of my favorite just hangout movies, right? What's my favorite comedy? I always think like, well, Days Confused is not really super, super funny. I love that movie, but it's not super, super funny. It's more about like a slice of life movie. It's definitely my favorite slice of life movie. But like, I used to always be like, well, you Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, like those are pretty really good. Man, Tropic Thunder's right up there with the Mel Brooks, like classics, like right up there with, like you said, Jelani, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein. Like it is that fucking funny. And because it's also respectful with a really scathingly satirical and clever view on the genre that it's talking about, right? Kind of like Young Frankenstein was, where you can see the love that Mel Brooks had for the Universal classic monster movies. But you can also see how he's poking fun at it out from a place of love. And I do believe that this is attacking Hollywood, but it does come from a place of love from dudes who love movies, right? And Ben Stiller, Robert Downey Jr., Jack Black, the dude who played Al Pacino, I do not know his name. They initially
Brandon T. Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Initially, he had auditioned 13 times. Initially, it was offered to Mos Def. He left due to creative differences. Then it was going to be done to Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart didn't take it, and he said he regrets it now because the reason why he did it was because he was scared to do a role where it was revealed that he was gay at the end.
Oh, yeah, I can see him having that problem.
Yeah.
Dude, the dude pretty much does a Chris Tucker impersonation the whole movie. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. He is.
He's doing it so well, right? So, yeah, it's absolutely top-notch. So that's 5s across the board, y'all. That's a perfect score. PCP Nation. Come on, y'all.
Thank y'all.
The first perfect score for Crew's Choice and one of the few from this year. We had a few. Like, what do we give perfect scores to?
Page Master.
Not Page Master.
Definitely not Page Master.
My thing,
Bloodsport, maybe.
I think we did for Bloodsport for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
Bloodsport.
We did. I wasn't Casino. I don't think everybody gave that one a 5. It was something we did. It wasn't one of the Police Academy movies, I'm sure. All right. Thus concludes our review for Tropic Thunder, but don't worry, we continue. Crew's Choice next Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time with Brian and Fable's pick, and neither of them are going to be here, but both of them picked Minority Report, a Steven Spielberg film based on a Philip K. Dick story. I love this movie. I'm a huge Dick fan. No pun intended there. I love Philip K. Dick's work. I love a lot of the movies that are based on his work. Minority Report is one of those. I haven't seen it in years. Very, very excited for that. Jelani, thank you so much for picking this movie. Thank you for being here. What you got coming up?
Yeah, man. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for the Cruise Choice in general, because Tom Cruise is, like I said, one of my favorite actors. So this is working out really well, surprisingly. So, and Tropic Thunder is probably going to be the best. Sorry, I love Minority Report, but I love Tropic Thunder. Brooks and I do Go Figure reviews over there. That guy. We had a couple of videos. We had 3 videos, but two of them we're going to do now. We had the Kazar and Zabu. This is the Build-A-Figure. We start with the Build-A-Figure because he's so awesome and things like that. And then we're going to go downward to the other ones. We're also doing Cable.
Ooh, it's tough.
We get Cable just dropped today. Yeah, he's awesome. And he looks like the X-Men 97 version as well. I mean, he's the comic version, but he looks like the X-Men 97. They finally got it right for that show. That show's awesome. Check us out. We're at 404 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, why haven't you subscribed? We do stuff and things. Manny made those thumbnails. He did really good work. He always does good work. So, look at our review and stuff, and watch Go Figure reviews. Thank you. That's all. And
Hell
happy
yeah.
birthday to me. Thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jelani. Brooks, thank you for being here. Final thoughts.
Just, if you're offered the choice between saving your best friend or a private jet, always choose your best friend. There's no private jet is worth flying if you can't fly with your homies.
Damn, that's right, dude.
Mm.
Well said. Well said.
Very well said.
We should just end the show there, man. Shit. Fuck it. What about you, Verno, man? Thank you for being here, man. Final thoughts. What you got coming up? I think I'm going to be on your show this week, man.
I'm super excited for what I have coming up. We're doing right after the PCP monthly Best Comics of the Month show. Robbie's coming over. Stu's coming over from that show. And we're doing Hostel 1 and 2 on Thursday night. Super stoked about it. And this is the kickoff to this whole big summer event we're doing, where we're doing 8 foreign horror films in 6 weeks. So not all foreign language. We're going back and forth, some English, some foreign language, but we're not holding back at all. These are like some of the best horror films ever made from all around the world for 6 weeks. So very, very excited about it.
Hell yeah, it's a great lineup, dude. Y'all are in for a treat. If somebody is still here with the Blue Wrench, would you throw out the links to Blood Splatter Chatter, and of course to Go Figure Reviews, and of course to Nerdtastic News, and of course to Dr. Doom's Fan Club, Supreme Clientele. Manny, thank you for being here. What you got coming up?
Boom. I don't have anything coming up at all. But check out 9-Panel Grid. He just dropped on the poll list, man. Damn good comic book reviewer. Go check it out if you're not subscribed yet. Really ought to be. You're gonna want to be in on the ground floor because this guy is gonna be fucking big.
He will make you happy.
Yes, he will.
Like we're like an hour and 40 into the stream now. Everybody's more comfortable now doing that simple Jack voice. I caught myself. I was doing the Robert Downey Jr. voice, and then I kept trying to like break out of it. Then I'd go right back into it. I couldn't fucking help it.
You can't help it, dude.
Yeah, on the pool list, man. Yeah.
I was a saucier in that toe. Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Some crab apples for dessert.
Oh, no. That's the best when he really leads into it. It's like, oh, God, it's so embarrassing.
And dude, in Sandusky the whole time, like his reactions during those bits are like priceless, man. 100%. Steph, thank you so much for being here. What you got coming up, brother?
Every Wednesday, Brother Stu and I do a show called Supreme Clientele over at Dr. Doom's Fan Club. It's a wonderful time. We talk about comic books with our brothers, and we're just our passion. So we will be having Brother Stu over there this Wednesday to discuss
Brother
X-Men 97 new season. Brother Verno, my bad, my apologies. I get excited talking about this. I'm just saying. But yeah, 9:30, Dr. Doom's Fan Club, Supreme Clientele.
Fuck yeah. All right. Thank you all for joining us. I knew that we were going to have fun doing this. I knew it. Be sure to check out Supreme Clientele, 9-Panel Grid. Be sure to check out Go Figure Reviews. And you can catch me on Blood Splatter Chatter Thursday night after our PCP double feature. Dude, Stu ain't ready. He doesn't even know what it's going to be like to stream for 5 hours back to back, bro. But it's going to be fine. But next week, join us as Crew's Choice continues with Minority Report. It's available on Paramount Plus for sure, but you can rent it on Amazon and things like that. So no excuses, y'all. Be here next week for Minority Report. We're going to be talking about predestination and fate and choice and all kinds of cool stuff next week on Pop Culture Philosophers, PCP Movie Night. We're dipping out. And my final thought is never go full retard.